In this video, we'll cover how to create a drawing or print file from our assembly. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to right click, or excuse me, left click twice slowly, and let's name this shaft support. And that'll be the name of this assembly. Okay. Now, what we need to do is we're going to create a new file. And this time we're going to go down here to create an IDW. Go ahead and select create. And let's change the sheet size. We're going to edit our sheet size down to a B size. And we're going to go to base. In our base view, notice automatically the the assembly comes up. We're actually going to change it to an isometric. Let's slide it here to the side, and we're going to keep it a 1-to-1. Okay, so let's slide it so it fits nicely in here. And go ahead and select OK. So here's all of our parts created together. But when you're creating an assembly model, you're not done at this point. You're not adding dimensions or anything like that, but what you are adding is information about this part. So we're going to go to the Annotate tab, and we're going to create a parts list. So as soon as I select parts list, notice that we have this menu come up. And it's going to create a parts list for all of these, all the parts of this assembly. So we want to change it from a structured to parts only. Structured would be more like if an embedded system. So instead of each part as one part, it's going to say this is part 1.1, 1.2, because it's looking at this individual assembly as a sub-assembly. So we're going to actually just move to parts only. And then notice that it changes our numbering to numeric. And select our view. We didn't select our view. There we go. I was gonna say, why is it doesn't let me say okay? So don't forget to select your view. And then we're going to go ahead and select OK. And notice that right now with me, I have a parts list. We're just going to set it somewhere down here. And then we're going to do some editing to it. So right now we have an item number, quantity, parts description, and then also a title called parts list. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to edit my parts list. Notice when I do this, I have a new menu come up with the exact same items that you see down here. So I'm going to come in here and you can do a column chooser, which means that you can choose the columns that are going to be visible in here. So let's say we want to add a material. So we select material and we're just going to add it here. We can also change the order. So if I want my, let's do our quantity first. Notice how the item then moves down one. So if I want, I'm actually going to get rid of description. I can select it and hit remove. And there's my 4 items here. So I can choose what's going to go in here. I can choose the order of what's going to go in here as well. Excuse me. So let's go ahead and put in, actually let's move our quantity down, put our part number up, and let's put our material above our quantity. So you can change it in any order that you want. And again, you can get rid of anything or you can add it back. So if I wanted that description back in, I could do that as well. So I have my item, my part number, my material, and my quantity. And then I can go ahead and select OK, and it's going to bring me back to this item here. Okay. I can go ahead and mess with my table my table. The table layout. So this is going to edit what this table looks like. So for example, if I take title off, it's not going to have this parts list right here. And it's a parts list. I don't need to have that labeled. I can change the order in which I have my descriptions. So I can have them at the bottom. So my new my new parts are going to be located at the bottom. So you'll have this item quantity, part number, and description at the bottom, and your title items would be next. So we can put our heading at the bottom, or I could remove the heading entirely. I can change the type of text if I wanted to. So we're going to go ahead and select OK. And again, if you wanted to do additional item changes, you can, but this is good. We're going to hit apply. Notice when I do that, everything changes over here on the right-hand side in my title block. And let's just go ahead and hit OK. I can move this by making sure my cursor, see how we have the 4 arrows, there's a single arrow, there's the 4 arrows, and I can align it with my title block in any fashion that I want also. Okay, I can slide it over here if I wanted to. But again, there's the item, so my headers at the bottom. If I add new materials, it's going to be located on the top. So if I added another piece here, this would be number 5, whatever the part number was, material, and so forth. So one of the nice things is anything that you do in Inventor actually updates throughout the entire system. So for example, if I added a new part to this, it's going to edit this or this parts list. If I change a material in here, it's going to update my part list. So that's exactly what we're going to do. So I'm going to go to my assembly and I'm going to do some edits. So anything that I'm in here, I can always edit my part. So for example, if I go to my base plate and hit right click and hit edit, notice the base plate's the only thing that's highlighted here. I can come in here and make any edits that I want to this part. So see how we have our extrusion. I can edit my sketch just like you could if you were open in this individual part. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to right click and we are actually going to go down to eye properties and we're going to change the physical properties. Maybe we forgot to change it from generic and now we're going to make it something else. Let's go ahead and make it mild steel. So there I have this. I can hit apply and close. And now this part has been updated to be mild steel. I'm just going to come up here to return, and then it's going to bring me back to my assembly. So we're going to go ahead and do this to each part. We're going to go to our bearing. We're going to hit edit. And again, as soon as you hit edit, notice everything that I used to create this part is available for me to edit. So I could change sizes if I needed to, or anything like that. But we're just, again, changing the materials. So I'm going to go to eye properties, go to physical. And then we're going to come here and let's make this cast iron. And now we have a cast iron piece here. Select return, brings me back. And again, we're going to do this to the collar. We're going to edit. And we're going to take our collar, we're going to change the properties. Go to physical. And let's change this to bronze. Back to my part. And then the last item we're going to change is this cap screws. I'm going to come in here, and now I'm back in. I'm going to change my properties. And let's change this to mild steel as well. Apply and OK. And I do want you to notice on this one, since we have 2 parts that are the same, it actually is going to change both of them because again, you're changing the properties of this part. So if I opened up the cap screw, it's now going to have that as the material. So any edits that I make in my assembly is going to make edits in my part. So now I'm going to go back to my assembly here. And notice down here, my material is updated. And I can go ahead and stretch this out so that it's not on 2 lines. I can make adjustments to the individual items while I'm on here. And then again, I can move this if I want this down against my title block. All right. And that's how you make adjustments to your parts list here. The next thing we need to do is add balloons. And these are going to show what this part is. It's going to select the item number. So for example, if I select a collar, and just drag my cursor out, click once, and then hit right, click continue. Now this is the number 3. If I come down to 3 here, it's the color. So it already knows what these material or what these items are. Let's get that nice and aligned. Hit continue. Same thing with my cap screw and my base plate. And again, the numbers are just coinciding with the actual item here. So again, if I added another part, there'd be a number 5 here, and it would add there for me. Okay. Now we can come into our assembly. Let's turn our balloon off. There we go. And I can right click and I can go into my properties. And don't forget, we can edit our title block. So I can come in here to my summary, change the name of the author, like who drew this. I can put in my company name, which is Park State. The subject here, this is the shaft support. Let's go to our project. I can add a part number, A, B, C, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever it happens to be, description, any of these items. If this is a new revision, I can put a revision here. So this is revision B, for example. Again, the project is my shaft support. The designer, I'm going to change and put my name in here. And again, I can put anything relative to this assembly in here. And this is properties for the full assembly, not individual parts. Okay, so I can hit apply and notice what I do. It makes my updates there. So notice there's my revision, my name, the date that I'm editing this, and everything else. So I can go ahead and hit close. And now I have this completed parts list here. So the next thing I'm going to show you is we're going to actually right click one more time on our parts list, but this time we're going to go to the bill of materials. So bill of materials gives you additional information relative to each one of these parts. So for example, I could put a stock number in here. I could put a description. I could add items. I could come up here and choose columns, and let's just scroll down here. Maybe I want to put the vendor in here. So there's the vendor. Maybe, I don't know, the mass of the property. So whatever you see in this customization, you can add to your bill of materials. And again, this is additional information relative to each part that you don't really want to show in your parts list on your drawing, but you may want to have it in for additional information. You can actually take this and we can export it, export bill of materials, again, parts only. And I've already created one. Here's my shaft support, and I can just select save. So it's going to export this information. It won't let me write over the top of it. You had to name it something else. So you would be able to have all this information in this part. So let's go ahead and do that. Excuse me. And we'll name it shaft support 1. I can hit save, and it's going to export my information here. Hit done. And again, this is now tied to this, so I can look at the bill of materials within here as well. And again, it's just additional information that you wouldn't want in your parts list, but it's information that's relative to the part. Okay. And then we can come into our item here and we can select our shaft support. And my guess is I have it open, so well, it's taken a while. Let's go ahead and open up this one. So you can see there's my information, there's my part, there's my part number. I didn't put a description in. This one, when I originally saved it the first time, I did not have the vendor, but it would have vendor here. So this gives you all that relative information based off of your part. Okay. All right, so if you're creating a full drawing set, you're not really finished at this point. You would need to create a IDW for each one of your drawings. Well, you don't want to have individual IDWs for a full assembly. You can actually put everything in here together. So right here, you have sheet number 1. I can come in here and create a new sheet. There's our sheet number 2. Notice it's still a B-sized. All of this information is going to stay the same. So, but I can come in here and create a base part. And instead of using my assembly, I'm going to use my file here. And I'm going to choose my base plate, for example. So here's my base plate. And I can go ahead and select OK. And then I could go ahead and create whatever I needed to for this sheet set. So I could come in here, again, I can do edits. I can add my title to this part. I can add dimensions. I can add my center marks. And that way, when you open this assembly, you would have each part as an additional sheet. So I could come in here and create another sheet. So now I have 3 sheets. So I'm just coming in here and I can make edits to this individual sheet. Let's go ahead and put one more part. Let's say I'm going to put the bearing. And let's change my view here. Maybe that's too small, and I could actually make it a 1-to-1 in this case. It's going to adjust based off of what the actual drawing file is. So it's notice scale 1-to-1. My scale for my base plate was 1-to-2. And again, you can fill all of this title block information out in for each individual sheet as well. And that's how you create a drawing file or an IDW for your assembly.